If I can't keep my head held high enough, I'll just speak love and watch the smiles come, bring my spirits up. There's some shit I like to fix, but I still know that I'm blessed.
Good morning. Welcome back to my coverage of the Kristin Smart trial. Salinas Courthouse, Monterey County, California, Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. And I checked at 10 a.m. this morning and there was no news as of that time. And sometimes I know juries decide and then go home to sleep on it. And then they reconvene for their final guilty, not guilty votes in the morning. So I had kind of wondered about that since they went home a little bit early yesterday. I was wondering if that was the case. And I actually think it's wise when juries do that. It's always good to reflect. Have that one little last bit of time to make sure you're making the right choice. So a little after 11 a.m. when I checked back with Chris Lambert, which I do continually, Chris shares an observation that he admits could mean nothing. He acknowledges the news is sure to raise some heart rates. He says Paul's jurors are all dressed very nicely. I'm having a hard time breathing with Chris Lambert's next update. He says 4 bailiffs led Paul's jurors downstairs carrying a metal basket full of papers. I hope this means that we're close, guys. Chris Lambert says there is frantic but unconfirmed talk in the hallway now that a verdict has been reached. They're waiting for official confirmation. Of course, he's talking about Paul's verdict. Ruben's has been in for a bit. They're just waiting for Paul's jury to decide so that back-to-back the judge can reveal both the verdicts. Since I don't have time to get to Salinas in time for a possible verdict because I'm 2 hours away, and the heads up for the reading of the verdict is only 1 hour maximum, I feel like I need to get closer to Kristin right now, so I'm heading to Kristin's Point in Shell Beach to receive this news of the verdict. Who knows, there might be others there too. I plan to go live for the first time ever while I'm there as well. I hope we hear guilty. I'm shaking. I'll add the live to this video too, hopefully. Oh my gosh. Okay, at 11:43 a.m., Norma Ramirez Zapata with Monterey County Courts sent this tester email to confirm that the court has the proper email address for the media. Okay, guys, we're getting close. Only minutes later, at 11:59 a.m., the court sent this email to media outlets. A verdict for Paul has been reached, and the verdict will be read at 1:30 p.m. at Department 4. There will be an overflow room. They also remind those attending to check in to get their badges prior to entering court or the overflow room. Chris Lambert shared this wholesome moment where national media and local outlets stepped aside, insisting that Chris take the media badge. Well-deserved. I'm happy for Chris Lambert. I'm glad he gets the respect he deserves. He's the reason we have this shot at justice in the first place. He's a hero no matter what happens in my mind. He notes this verdict will be very emotional. He is correct. Either verdict will bring out deep emotions, either elation or devastation for me. I know I'm probably going to cry either way. Hopefully it will be tears of joy. Around 12:30 p.m., Chris Lambert let us know the Tribune will have live updates. Of course, Chris and the others will be in the courtroom and they'll be unable to communicate with those of us outside the courtroom. Dang, I won't have my most reliable source at the most important time. I also started following Chloe Jones actually with the Tribune. I follow her on Twitter now, so I'm learning to trust her as well. And I'm going to have family on standby also to help while I'm live to text the immediate verdict over to me. I have got some backup, so hopefully on the live I'll be delivering this to you as quickly as possible. Okay, everybody. I just got back from Kristin's Point in Shell Beach. I did a live. I had 10 people on my live, so thank you to the 10 of you who tuned in and were able to hear the verdict with me live. And some of you even chatted. That was super cool. Thank you, thank you, thank you. One chatter was all the way in Virginia, and she was in tears too, like the rest of us. So Paul was found guilty of first-degree murder, and Ruben was found not guilty. That's okay in my opinion. Paul is dangerous. One of my faithful subscribers made a good point. I hope Ruben doesn't further disturb Kristin's remains because we really hope to recover her someday. Someday soon. They can't try Ruben again. It would be double jeopardy. If only one of them had a heart to lead us to Kristin, I wish they would just call it in as a tip. We will never give up on finding her. It was announced that today, October 18, 2022, at 4 p.m., that the district attorney will hold a press conference. And we're probably going to hear from Kristin's family as well at the press conference. So I think I'm going to do a separate episode with all the reactions and clips of all the different local reactions. I'm going to separate that from this episode, so that'll be coming next. Her family is always on my mind. And at 6 p.m., there's a celebration, and that's also being publicized. I would love it if Chris Lambert and the Smarts were there in attendance, but I doubt it. Ruben was present for the verdict, and Ruben's jurors were thanked and can now discuss the case according to the judge's instructions, and I'm ready for the book. How about you guys? Judge O'Keefe told Ruben's jurors, quote, "You are fulfilling an extremely important role in our judicial system," end quote. She told them to please accept our thanks for your time and your effort. Ruben was released from electronic monitoring and is discharged. The prosecution asked Judge O'Keefe if she intended on lifting the gag order. The judge answered by saying that she was considering leaving it in place until sentencing. And I'm not sure yet, right as this exact moment, when that will be, personally. The judge added she would review the gag order during the recess while the court waited for Ruben's verdict. One of Ruben's jurors took a minute to get back to court, so there was a wait for Ruben's verdict. After both verdicts were read, Judge O'Keefe commended their service. She acknowledged their great personal sacrifice. She told them they had been conscientious throughout the case. She said they were allowed to discuss or not discuss their deliberations and verdicts with anyone. She told jurors the discussion must occur at a reasonable time and place. And just to clarify, the gag order is still on for all the other parties involved, but the jurors are free to discuss at their discretion. Neither Paul and Ruben reacted to Paul's guilty verdict in the courtroom. Ruben was seated directly behind Paul when the verdict came down. It was said that Kristin's mom and sister cried for several minutes after hearing the verdict. Gosh, can you imagine? It was reported that Kristin's dad and brother appeared relieved. Ruben spoke on the courthouse steps after the verdict, and I'm going to have that part of my next episode along with all the clips. That'll be contained there if you want to see that. He was on the steps speaking with his attorney, Mr. Misik, who, victory for him in the courthouse. He did his job. Ruben said he was relieved but worried about his son. Oh, brother, something's never changed in my opinion. And like I said, we'll hear the rest of what he had to say in the episode where I'm going to put together reactions. I'm still digesting this verdict and basking in the glory of this, to be honest. When Ruben was asked if he had a comment for Kristin's family, he said he felt bad they didn't get answers about what happened to Kristin. He said they don't know what happened to her. All right, that sounds like the same script that Susan uses, in my opinion. Speaking of Susan, she wasn't even there for the verdict, and Ruben said she had a medical issue and wasn't able to attend. That's probably related to her boyfriend, from what I hear. He's been having medical problems. Mike. Ruben's verdict was in on Monday, but Paul's jury took longer. As we know, we were waiting on bated breath for Paul's verdict to come in. And part of the verdict delay was that only that particular jury was present, while the other one waited outside the courtroom, and they had to get them all in and seated and and get the other ones out and bring them in, and it's 24 people and all the other people that are coming to observe and report on it, and the staff and the judge, and, so it takes a minute. We were on the Bluffs live for 45 minutes from the time the verdicts were expected, basically, till the time they both came in. So it did take a minute. I learned Paul's sentencing will be on December 9th of 2022. And I'm not sure yet if the judge is going to do sentencing or if the jury decides. Do any of you guys know? If you do, put it in the comments. As soon as I find out, I'll, of course, let you guys know. I know different courts handle that differently. So hopefully we'll know that soon. I don't want to assume anything. You know what happens when you assume. Another bit of good news. Cal Poly president sent a message to the campus after the verdict, which is good. There was a lot of problems related to Cal Poly. We know the delay in reporting and how they didn't think she was missing. And then they had failing grades for her that her mother had to fight to get off of her record because she was dead. So she couldn't quite take her final exams. And, there was some bitterness for a long time, but I think we've come past that. Of course, it's a new president now than what it was in 96. And it's great they're acknowledging the verdict. And we know there's change due to Kristin that campuses have to immediately report now. That's according to the Kristin Smart Campus Safety Act. In the statement, the Cal Poly president acknowledged that Kristin's disappearance is a tragic part of Cal Poly history. He says they've watched closely, hoping for resolution for the Smart family. The verdict is a welcome development in the pursuit of justice, he said. They hope it brings comfort to Kristin's loved ones, and their thoughts continue to be with the Smarts, which was a very nice statement. The university president even went a few steps further and named the different people in the district attorney's office that helped on the case, the investigators, acknowledged everyone who helped this justice come today. And of course, the star of the show, he thanked Chris Lambert. He pointed out how Chris Lambert brought new attention to the case, found new witnesses, which led to more evidence. And we couldn't do it without him. And it reminds me of that saying, guys, and it rings true once again, it only takes one person to make a difference. This one man decided to stand up, and look where we're at. Thank you, Chris Lambert. You're amazing. Cal Poly will have a get-together planned to celebrate the victory of the guilty verdict this upcoming Friday. I'm not going to make it to that one, but I'm going to be going to another one Saturday, hopefully. Well, looky here. It looks like one of the big dogs finally has something to say about this case. Where have they been? I am seeing the announcement on a lot of national news outlets. At least the verdict news is getting out. I just wish they could have done more coverage throughout the trial. As I've mentioned, I did go live on the Bluffs over there at Kristin's Point for the verdict, and I was surrounded by some amazing people, some personal friends of the family who were also attorneys. And then at the get-together later that night, we sang songs and played guitar and just celebrated in the victory. I'm going to have that in the secondary video. But I do like the intro. The newscaster that was present started by saying, "Sun shining, waves crashing, and whales breaching at Kristin's Point in Shell Beach." And some of the people who commented said they were shocked but thrilled. And they said that they wanted to dance and cry at the same time. And those will all be in the episode where I have the reactions and the video clips. Chris Lambert says it's going to take him a while to process the day. He thanks so many people. He said his friend Denise pinned this purple ribbon on him after the big hug they've been waiting for. Oh, I love that. As of Wednesday afternoon, over 10,000 people had loved Chris's comments regarding the guilty verdict when he tweeted it out. And now we can say it loud and clear and firm. We got our justice. We got our justice for Kristin. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. It's been a long ride and a very emotional day, and I'm pretty drained and exhausted, all for good reasons. So watch for my next episode that I'm putting together with all the clips regarding the family statements, different portions of the community, Cal Poly people and what they have to say, Of course, the Smart family's attorney, which he said he couldn't be happier. One of the things he said that I liked is he says, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And it looks like the civil suits are going to be ramping up again, which I think is great. We'll hear from Ruben's attorney and Ruben himself, and people in Arroyo Grande who are at another celebration for the victory of the verdict. And one of the things they said is that they want to send the message that they're standing with Kristin and her family. And of course, there were tears of joy all over the county, far and wide, all over the world for some of us who are following this case and care so much about Kristin. Some are upset that they don't feel like justice was served because Ruben was not found guilty. I'm okay with it. Paul was the main one, in my opinion. Like I said, he's dangerous. Arroyo Grande vows to never forget Kristin Smart. We'll never stop looking for her. And we are now praying for peace and healing for her family mostly, but also for everyone who's emotionally invested in this. Victory is sweet. Justice is sweet. But we're never going to stop looking for her. And I'm going to close with part of the statement from Kristin's mother, which I thought was so touching and meant a lot to most of us. She says, "It was the wings that lifted them up to give them the strength to know the community was standing behind them," which is basically what helped them carry on. Finally, guys, yes, justice for Kristin. I'm so happy.
I can't keep my head held high enough. I'll just speak love and watch the smiles come.
Thanks for watching.
Bring my spirits up.
Don't forget to stop and smell the flowers.
There's some shit I like to fix, but I still know that I'm blessed.